Welcome to Philly Coco presents Side Project Spotlight, episode 113. It's a developer's journey into making cool stuff. I'm Kotaro.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Aaron.
And we are Philly Coco, a Philadelphia-based Coco Heads community focused on Apple development that primarily, but not exclusively, means iOS, Mac, tvOS, watchOS, and visionOS development. Philly Coco's true desire is to take you higher on your own developer journey. Woo! All right. Well,
Yeah.
we've just gone through the double feature of viewing experience of WWDC and the State of the Union for 2026. And do we have any feedback or any thoughts about what has been revealed, or do we want to do
I'm gonna say 2026 is the year the universal UI era begins.
universal
UI era begins. We were right about so many things on this pod. Like I was going through the State of the Union. Like we called this stuff. Not that it was hard to call some of this stuff, but we did call it ahead of time. And I like to get to some of that. But
so for the people who is their first time listening to this podcast, what exactly are we referring to here about a universal UI?
The thing about LLMs, like the thing for normal people that might make them useful for a lot of things, is the ability to be in an application or something and just ask it to do stuff and not have to understand some arcane UI or be able to access to more advanced features. Now, it's not like they didn't really show super advanced stuff, but they did show a working Siri that actually lets you do stuff by your voice and kind of have it work with multiple apps in a conversation and bring in context and do actions like send messages. So it really, and they were doing live demos as far as I could tell. So it looks like it actually is going to work. It may be like version 1, but looks more workable than anything I've seen at least on Apple's platforms. So
that was a lot of time spent staring at a loading spinner.
It was a beautiful loading screen.
You know what? I thought the same thing, but Aaron, they had to do it this way because the last time they did Apple Intelligence demo, they BS so much of it that it really bit them later. So
I mean,
they were like absolutely sure you knew this time that we're really running this, guys.
If you were to compare it to like a generic like GPT or Claude experience, Claude chat experience, like how does that feel any better in terms of responsiveness, speed?
Depends what you're doing.
Like what they were doing basically, or to some degree what they were doing.
Well, I haven't done. I don't have Claude or Codex like accessing a bunch of my private data on my computer.
True. Right. So I guess,
but if I ask it to do something like search, do some research, whatever, yeah, I mean it takes a minute in ChatGPT in the app.
I feel like we need to bring back dancing hamsters because that was more entertaining than these
in
floating
Codex,
balls and rotating, spinning wheels.
In the Codex app, I keep accidentally activating, I think it's pet, and when I'm trying to write plan, and they have like a little Codex pet. It's like this little dude, little guy, little character that just sits there and like is animated when it's doing stuff, I guess, and it's very stupid, but it exists, and so they already have that.
Oh my goodness! I will say there is I don't know if I like it or dislike it. I should say like I'm sort of in between because it fits like the culture of the time, but like. Do you notice that there seems to be this like trend to put unnecessary UI interactions to the background or have like little Easter eggs unnecessarily in your CLI or something?
Well, Claude does that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Codex is a lot more restrained on the CLI and even in the app, but Claude is like going full on into the slot machine concept of LLMs, I guess. Just like different.
It's the kind of thing I expect from like a design portfolio website, right? Where you got like three-dimensional things and you're like,
look what I can do. Yeah.
No, you just have to have something to stare at while the bot is thinking.
Well, I've heard it described that Claude is like more, I don't know, more fun or something. It's more, it's trying to be more like a slot machine. It's trying to have things to distract you, as you're saying, things that are happening while it's doing stuff. Whereas Codex is more like this very, like, maybe have one little line that says, I'm thinking. And it doesn't put a bunch of stuff in front of your face. And you're on your own trying to deal with your boredom.
You know what would be more fun? Showing an actual slot machine while you're waiting.
Yeah, I think someone did that with Claude. Or saw maybe it was a fake screenshot.
You were about to say something, Aaron?
Maybe these UIs will be less annoying when you have the Apple glasses and you're actually doing something else while you're doing this.
So this is the dub reaction though. So we should focus on the WWDC stuff. But so we had the Siri thing. Obviously, is the big one for me. What else are you looking at? Cultural.
I think I'm trying to see here. Like the multimodal prompts is one that was interesting.
You can use that. You can use text and images now.
The system orchestrator, I'm still confused by that. Is that like pseudo OpenClaw or not? Or is like Apple's version of OpenClaw? So I'm not sure.
I don't know. The only thing the notify me is the closest thing I saw to like some automated action happening in the background. But
the Apple Intelligence private cloud, they were like, it's free up to a certain amount, right?
Yeah,
like,
I didn't catch it. Did you guys catch what the limits were and what they meant? Because I think they meant like the end user can use your app that's doing stuff with a private cloud compute, and they get some amount of compute or something for free, and then there's some difference with iCloud Plus. I'm trying to find the documentation, but I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I wonder how long that'll last. It's like,
I'm wondering when they release this thing,
subscriptions make it worth your while.
Look, so there was a discussion on the Slack, I think, recently about iPhones. People said iPhone 4, and I was like, oh, the 4S is my favorite one. I remember distinctly getting a 4S, and I remember that was, I believe, when Siri was released, and I remember it being just dog slow because it was the first release, everybody was trying it, and it barely functioned at all. And I wonder if now the same thing's going to happen when everybody hits it all at once in the fall, let alone the beta period. I don't know. When that public beta starts in July, I mean, how much is this going to work and how performant is going to be is an open question.
Well, there's also the 2-tiered foundation model, on-device model.
Yeah, what's the second tier?
Work?
Details.
It's like if you have an iPhone 17 Pro or above, something with 12 gigs of RAM.
And an 3 or better.
Right, and for some reason M3.
iPad.
Wait, so I'm sorry.
Yeah,
12
so it's
gigs
finally my one 2020 is finally obsolete.
Now we have to spend like $5,000 to get a new one or whatever, a new laptop. This is the worst possible time to have to do a laptop upgrade because of how expensive RAM became.
I'm glad. Well, see, that's kind of how they artificially reduce the amount of people actually trying to hit this stuff.
Oh yeah, make it too expensive. I mean, it's probably just I don't know what the details were, what they're limiting. I know the voice was the main one I saw, like the new Siri voice. It sounds like a low rent Grok voice or whatever. It's fine. It's, I guess, better. But those like quote unquote AI voices, they always rub me the wrong way. They sound too uncanny valley to my ears, and including that Siri one. I was like, I guess it's technically an improvement, but I'm not sure I actually want my my voice assistant, or whatever the heck we call these things, to sound too realistic. I feel like that doesn't work for me, but they'll get better. Maybe I'll stop.
How often are you actually using the voice assistant with voice?
I use Siri all the time to do basic stuff, and so it responds. And I don't usually have it reading a bunch of stuff back to me. And if I use ChatGPT or something, I will do text. I'll use speech to text to get input in, but I don't usually do the voice thing. I found that Grok had the most usable voice conversation model last time I used it, but that was many months ago. And I really didn't like the ChatGPT model. That was terrible, and I didn't even try the Claude one, I think. Oh, no, I did try it. It was also awful, I thought. I didn't like any of them. So we will see.
Do you still have both a Claude and a Codex
for now
subscription?
Although
okay.
I think I want to probably cancel my Anthropic one because I don't really use it.
Okay. You don't use it for just to use up the tokens? You're not token maxing-ish?
No, but if I could save $20, I can just buy another $20 worth of tokens on ChatGPT. It doesn't matter.
That is true.
These things are so becoming commodities anyway. Anyway, so back to WWDC, guys.
We are derailing.
We're so terrible. We are the worst podcasters there. This is why this is a reaction one. We're just kind
I mean, we did say we were going on the seat of our pants with this one because
literally it ended
literally
30 minutes ago.
30 minutes ago, yeah. The dynamic profile stuff is actually kind of interesting for the foundation model.
Yeah.
Just being able to create custom profiles in the app. The switch was it? So you're switching models midstream.
Was it models or just like system prompts and some other settings?
It's system prompts, and you can set and you can identify which prompts uses which model. You can also identify what was the other thing, like the personality or like the temperature. Like you can configure it for all the different like configurations of that one profile and just start using that per scenario. So like if you wanted one that didn't require like the private cloud model, you can have that.
Unfortunately, I don't think the documentation has been updated yet, the written documentation, because I can't find any of that stuff right now. But we're just going by what we just saw in the video. But what was cool was like if you're going to use Foundation's model in your app to do stuff, like there are examples, that origami thing. They might be one profile for the origami thing to try to like give you a suggestion of a project, I guess. And then one was terminology. Like if you don't know what a word means, was a different profile set up with a different prompt to make it, I guess, more accurate or something to giving terminology. And then you can set the temperature, you can set the thinking budget or whatever they call it in this, so that, if the one action you want to do in your app requires more effort, then you do that. And then if one is just like something much simpler, you can do less. And then that helps you control your, I guess, speed and costs maybe.
But one thing that'd be interesting, right? Like you can technically point that, because we talked about this idea about, this was another one of those things we were talking about, is like making foundation model being accessible, like being able to easily switch between models and not just, the popular ones, but also like private ones.
You can make your own. You can bring your own models into here, like the core AI. So I'm still a little fuzzy about how the APIs interact, like what you can do in the Foundations one and the core AI one. But it does seem like Apple really opened things up this year. So if you want to bring in other local models, and you can also run external,
you can.
Which I don't know which API that's through. Is that through core AI or the Foundations framework? One of them.
Core AI is like on-device stuff.
On-device, yeah. So that's maybe it's the Foundations one.
Yeah,
is the one that
Foundation
unifies.
model is has
almost like a pseudo abstraction layer, or
like a protocol or something that you can adopt. As long as you use this protocol, then you can swap in your server model or local model.
So like you could use your Claude or your GPT or whatever.
That's what it sounds like,
I think, some other thing through OpenRouter, I guess. Yeah, I mean, like that's actually really cool because it just makes it easier to use Apple's built-in.
Well, the way
I want to swap in the like giant model on my 5 Max that I don't have.
Can you get a 128 gig of RAM on that and spend like, what is it, $10,000?
Just leave your laptop lid open.
Just leave it open all the time as you're walking around. Yeah,
add like a little fan underneath. Heat sink or something. Oh my goodness.
No, but that's cool. And they added a lot of stuff this year for developers around agentic stuff. Yeah. And one thing that I was watching the State of the Union when they got to Xcode, and I had it on our bingo cards, and I had it on their like Codex style app for Xcode, and they literally did it. If you guys have not used the Codex app, like the macOS app, it is basically what it's similar to what they showed in Xcode, where in the middle you have the chat box at the bottom in the middle with the whole transcript, and then like on the right you would have like the preview of files and stuff that changed or whatever. But then on Codex app on the left you'd have a list of different projects, where in this case you just have the one project and the files in that project. But otherwise very similar. When you do a conversation, whatever, it'll do tool calls, it'll show that it did something, then it'll give you the response in the long transcript. Hilarious. Like literally now everybody has adopted that design aesthetic. Google has their own clone of Codex.
Are you saying they Sherlocked Codex?
They Sherlocked Codex, sort of, because it's still only really useful if you're doing one Xcode project, it seems. Whereas, like, I use Codex now with the MCP interface into Xcode to do stuff. So, but in this case, I'll give this a shot because the reason I was doing that too is because I like I don't know. Well, there's multiple reasons because it's more flexible, but this gives you like more of the user interface that I appreciate from the Codex app in here instead of just being stuck in this little sidebar. That was the thing that kind of really was not annoying, but it was like it was less flexible when I was trying to use it in Xcode. So, I'll give it a shot. But that was funny to me because I had put that on the last minute on the bingo card, and I was like, no way, they're going to do that. They did it. They did it pretty. I mean, they took pieces. They did it, and you could see it. It's pretty funny. They added ACP support too.
Do you feel like it is a natural evolution of the way you're going to be working? So you're barely looking at code, so to speak.
I don't know, man. I keep thinking about this. I think that, I mean, we can get into the whole philosophy of software development thing, but I think that especially when you take into account the economics of it all, I do think Apple is clearly going in the direction of more local stuff. I mean, they have their private cloud compute, but I think that ideally they want you to be able to run local stuff. And so maybe someday we'll get to that point. But I do think that I think that there just depends on your project. There's going to be stuff that you still want to write by hand. I know that that's not necessarily the way that a lot of the perspective of a lot of developers right now, at least the ones that are really super vocal about AI stuff on the internet. But it's just that these models can only remix stuff that's in their training there. That's how they work. Like, it's just example. Like I know people also disagree with that, but they're wrong. This is a model can only say what you tell it to say. Like, it is not magic. It's not an intelligent life form. It's a freaking statistical model of statistical relationships between a bunch of crap.
I feel like we had a missed opportunity for you to have a drinking game. When anytime somebody brought up intelligence, you just take a shot.
It's like I hate the terminology in this space, but that's aside the point. The thing is though, it's good at, in my experience, I've tried it with a couple different language stuff. Even though the best models, I still don't think the code is that good, but it's like it can be good enough for different scenarios. But so I think that if you're building something that you really want to have like specific data structure, specific algorithm or something, you might need to do it by hand or do it with an LLM, but like really look at the syntax and the code. But then there is lots of code in any given project that you really don't need to do that with, especially if you can get it to kind of adopt a pattern that you like already, or the type of language like Go. Often Go projects, because the nature of the language, are all very similar, and if you use a linter or something, you can help. There's techniques to get the code to be more in the format you want to use. But I don't think I personally do not want to not understand the syntax at all. Like I'm currently I was doing a project in Java, which I haven't looked at in decades. And like that is all agentically generated. And I'm like, I can understand Java, but I'm not an expert at all in modern Java. And so I'm looking at it and I'm like, well, this is not the best. It's not the best. It's okay. And we had like a linter and stuff on it. It helps, it had some other stuff on there, but it's not like great, but it's fine. It's probably fine for the project I'm working on. It doesn't need to be super specific. On the other hand, if I was building like a video game, depends on the type of game. I'd be way more hesitant, and also depends on the language. What if you're using like a more esoteric language to build your project? So I just feel like it all depends on your project and whether what you're doing is well represented in the training data of the the LM, and whether the output is good enough for what you're doing. And I feel like the future is just going to be a mix of the whole spectrum of sometimes just doing it all by hand, sometimes doing it all vibey, and then like in the middle there's a huge spectrum. And I don't think we need to like pick a side like it's some kind of freaking war. Just do what works for you in your particular project. And also I think the economics are going to make a big difference. Like I could not afford to do everything, and like the latest thing on X is like I do things in a loop or whatever, like orchestrate the agents to make the other agents do things, and I just it's like I couldn't even afford that if I wanted to do that slop.
I was about to say, how much is that costing that person?
$1 million a month? Like, I don't know. It depends.
No,
like, I can't do
that bad.
No, it can't. I mean, I think, some of those OpenAI guys.
Aaron, I saw that look. What are you smirking about? Can it be that bad?
It can be.
Yes.
Yeah. Look, imagine if you have the agent. Look, if you just be like, I want you to make me this blah blah blah, and you do that prompt, it starts off a chain where it then creates tickets and then creates agents to go through the tickets, and then they just iterate over and over again. And then they just go in a loop until they get it done. And like you do that kind of thing, like the the Gastown type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why he said if you value money, like don't do this or something. If you don't have money, don't do this because it just costs all your money.
I think it's funny. I remember there's something about like there was like this idea where they were going to make Jira tickets, and then those tickets would generate GitHub tickets or GitHub issues, for which then would generate. Then they would like kick off, whatever the agent to actually do said job or whatever, and they would.
This is an idea you heard, or someone do this?
I remember hearing this idea or somebody doing this one time. I don't. But this was before the economic reset.
I could not get Codex to automatically do things in Jira for various reasons. So what I did do though is I did have it make Jira tickets for me, and then I copied and pasted them into Jira, and then I took an export of Jira and had Codex make it into a YAML file, so I had like a local snapshot of them, and then I did the stuff on the local snapshot, and then when I was done doing like a ticket or whatever, I then had it give me the give me the PR or whatever, and I would do that. So like I'm doing like a manual way, like I'm the one shuffling things back and forth like a caveman. However, that's Jira for you sometimes. But
speaking of caveman, are you converting it to caveman language to make so that you can
what I
use less tokens?
I should do that because I actually thought about doing that a while back, and I didn't actually get around to doing it. So anyway, but as to the more of the WWDC reaction, I don't know, Aaron, what was like? Is there anything big that came up that you wanted to mention that was really a highlight for you?
Trying to remember all the different things.
I'm going to leave the long silence.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I will. While you're thinking about it, but I will say, while you're doing that, there are nice SwiftUI updates.
Yes. Let's talk about code.
With the interaction. So there's a reordering container. I think there's a whole process of concept around containers.
That's one of the things.
I'm really excited about
Can we
Reordering.
get that in BentoFit? So like,
yes, I know.
Yes.
I want that in there.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I thought as soon as I saw that.
Do it now.
Because this in right now.
Yeah, because I tried. I think we tried doing the reorderable thing. It was such a mess.
Yeah.
We were like,
You even tried to the vibe code that one.
I even tried to have an agent do it, like, and it still couldn't.
When
do
they
it.
showed how much code it takes.
Yeah. That's how bad.
Make a custom reorderable container.
And it still looked bad in that example. By the way, you saw that little like extra layer of like white background for some reason.
There's a lot of stuff. There is stuff in SwiftUI I've noticed it's like that, where there's a background layer that I cannot get rid of in certain controls. It's just there, and it's just more noticeable with certain colors or whatever, and there's just nothing. I tried all kinds of stuff, could not get rid of it, and that might be one of those examples where there's just some layer that's there, and you just have to live with it until Apple fixes it. But the fact is, this is not, if it works, even if it's a little bit janky, I mean, come on, that's a big win because it's just a lot. Everybody wants to be able to reorder stuff.
Oh, right. The other SwiftUI thing they mentioned was like the way certain like views with like nested things like just like run like a million times to like figure out their size. And it's like, we fixed that.
Yeah. So in other words, it just, especially the part where it's like half the time, like you don't specify which one of like the min or the ideal or the min width or the min height or whatever. Like you're rarely specifying those or the ideal height. So like it could just lock into that one thing. I didn't realize it was that bad.
I like that that we continue to remove property wrappers from SwiftUI. State is now a macro.
Everything. iOS 28, everything's going to be a macro.
No, seriously, I think property wrappers are just like, they were like kind of a good idea, but I never got custom property wrappers to work that well for me. They're limited and stuff. So the macros are just way more flexible, if not more esoteric. But now macros are a perfect place where we'll see if an LLM can generate that slop code. Because have you messed with trying to like look at a macro before, like build one? I mean, I have. It's like there's a lot to it. Yeah. It's a lot, and the tooling's not the best out of the box and stuff.
Yeah.
I think Point Free had some really good videos though.
You're gonna have to hope that there's enough sample data out there to give you good output, but sure.
I know.
But here's one thing that's near and dear to all of our hearts: AsyncImage caching. Finally.
Yes.
Yeah. Finally.
Oh my God, I use Codex to make I think it was very close, if not exactly the same API as AsyncImage did all I wanted, because I just wanted to cache the images and make them load less horribly, and it's still not great.
Yeah,
so
we used a cached AsyncImage or something. I think that was a library. It's cache something.
I used that in the past. I didn't use it.
Yeah.
Did they have a Swift version of it? They must by now.
Yeah.
So I didn't use that one. I should just do that, because the one I have is like linked into my like a custom URL cache I had set up, whatever. But anyway, thank you, Apple. It only took how many years to put a cache in the AsyncImage?
6.
Jeez, man.
It took a Snow Leopard
some intern with a Claude code, unlimited Claude code budget just got finally fixed it or something.
We'll have to check their budget, their operational costs.
I heard their
that's
Claude.
Where the million is.
Actually, you think they use Gemini? I don't know now. I heard they're a Claude shop though. That's what I heard. I don't know if that's true.
I wouldn't be. I mean, I wonder like who, for the most part, who isn't like one of like. I can't imagine you at the rate that they go like. For developers, you have to like, you're always going back and forth. So, I mean, I'm not surprised that they stuck with Claude, but I also just for consistency's sake. But yeah,
here's some like random grab bag stuff from this. They have a command line tool for prompting the foundations model.
Yeah.
Now, so they have a little CLI of some sort.
Yep.
Right. They had the like model evaluator thing in Xcode.
Yeah. What does that do?
For like running different prompts and like seeing how it responds.
Is that the diagram thing? Was that the thing they had like
yeah, they had that.
Diagram?
What is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that looks so cool.
That does. It looks cool. Yeah.
We have to play with that.
So we're in prompt engineering territory in Xcode.
I know. Jeez.
Oh
what is
this world we're entering?
That's what they had to build that so they could make sure all of those demo things actually worked.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's true.
I mean, after watching so many of the those demos fail, I mean, they had that had to be the case.
This was the State of the Union, like hurry up and wait, like the keynote, hurry up and wait, because it was like we got to make sure these people know these are running on device for real.
That's right. I mean, at least, you know, it's kind of funny too, because like it still can be edited, right? Like
it could be, but no, I don't think they edited out any of the time. I think they tried to make sure that it was real time or very, very close to it anyway, because they didn't want to.
If they did, they intentionally made it seem really slow.
Yeah, yeah, they either edited it to make it look slow. No, I don't think they edited that.
That would actually be hilarious. Just for the fact that it's like, just for the fact that when you actually do get it, it's like, oh, this is pretty fast. It's actually the opposite effect.
Well, also, weren't they all probably using Pro phones, like 17 Pros, probably?
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I think I did spot a non-Pro phone in one of the demos, but
well, we'll see. We'll see how well this works.
Well, one other thing that I wanted to make sure that we talked about was the app intents and app actions.
Yeah, I did not get a clear idea of how that works or what its limitations were from the two keynotes. Did you get a? I can't find any documentation yet about it. Very little.
Because a lot of it is like because this is where apps come into play of like how we can integrate into, I guess, the Spotlight indexing and surfacing our apps and our apps features into like a Siri AI interaction. And that's the part that I'm trying to like understand. So like providing the entity information, you're basically providing the model data that they can get access to, the model information, and then the intent of which to send data back and forth.
They have these schemas, and they said the entity schemas are for like providing the context, but then it was the intents one, the action stuff that, and they said they had common category intent schemas. But that's, Aaron, you said that's kind of what they already had before.
They've had both of those things already, but I'm not sure if they've expanded those. Because I remember before
that's
it was really limited the different categories you could have. But it also sounds like you can use more natural language, where before, like you had to use like the specific shortcut phrase or something really close to it that had to mention your app's name in the like invocation phrase, or Siri wouldn't know what to do.
Yeah, so apparently you don't need to do that anymore, or at least not as much of it.
That
Anyway.
would be crazy. How would it be?
They
able
did
to know?
explicitly say that. They said you can use
They
natural
didn't
language. You don't have
explicitly
to.
say it, but that's what it sounded like. They
said something that was
implied.
They said something like it was conversational. You don't need to have a certain phrase.
Like
but
if I said something like, if I wanted to say, "Hey, can I send a message to my D&D group?" Would it know about coming down to the party this Saturday? Would it know that it's my Discord group or my
if your
message
app,
group?
yeah, if that app actually had the intent exposed properly, it should know.
That would be cool. That would be really cool. Because that solves a lot of interesting issues with that the tap intent framework.
What I want to know though is what I really want though is the ability to, and I don't know if this is possible yet. Can you have a Siri conversation and can you connect apps together yet through these intents?
Yeah, it sounds like
you can do it through
where they have the
shortcuts.
whole thing. The example with like the shortcuts thing where you could just like create a custom shortcut out of natural language.
Can I just through like a voice conversation with Siri or the Siri app, ask it to do a multi-step workflow with third-party apps?
It sounds like it can, but I don't know.
Like
I don't
maybe,
think they showed any specific examples of that.
The example they gave was like the conversation itself was kind of the way everything flowed together. So you would bring in the context there, and then you could say, I want to send an email or want to send a message or something. Or you want to say, I want, like, what did this guy say? And then it would search the apps for it or something. And some of it had to do with, like, if you're in your app, then it could get context from your app and then it could also access system level stuff like messages. So I'm just a little, where the specific limitations are on the borders, I'm not clear. I'm fuzzy. That's why I have to look at the sessions right now. But it looks way more usable than anything we've had before. And the fact that you can go into shortcuts, and this was on the bingo card too. You can go to shortcuts and just talk to it and just say, I want to do this, blah, blah, blah. And then it hopefully successfully creates a set of shortcuts. That's really cool because I think that the automations and the shortcut type stuff you can do on iOS especially is really useful, but almost nobody I don't think I know anybody who uses it, honestly, except for maybe a few developers, because it's just too onerous. It's too tedious to do it, even with the fact that you can kind of like share, the scripts. So
I mean, it's
cool.
kind of like particularly for people who like to have those they have like complex or like multi-step workflows that they would love to, and they don't mind doing the initial configuration because that's the pain point.
Yeah, that's a pain point. Now they're eliminating or greatly reducing that pain point.
Yeah,
which I think is good because your iPhone and iOS, like, this is one thing that I think we've complained about Apple for a long time, like especially in iPadOS, where it's like there's all this power, but the software is never there to take advantage of it. With Shortcuts, ever since Shortcuts got that revamp, or Shortcuts came out, I'm like, oh, this is amazing, but even I barely use it because I don't want to go in there and fool around for 30 minutes trying to figure out how to put some workflow together between all the apps I have. Similarly with widgets, it'd be nice if we could just be like, find me a widget that does this. And like, I don't know if we got there yet, but like, there's just these things that are they're powerful, but they require too much upfront work to get configured. And that's where I think Apple's moving. And that's where the universal UI concept comes from. Like, that was one of our thoughts about it. I thought, was like, you can just talk to it and have it do these tedious orchestration things that you didn't want to have to do, the configuration things you didn't want to have to do.
This definitely is the baby step in that direction.
Yeah, that's why I think it's the beginning of this era, but it's not like the full implementation of it.
Yeah, it's probably closer to like, I don't know, like I would say 5 versions behind.
Yeah. Yeah. On the Mac side, they did show, the Siri integration worked pretty smoothly. Like, you could basically just bring up from Spotlight, or you could just bring up like a Siri interaction and just start discussing what you're doing in an app that you're looking at, and then it kind of, because and same thing in iOS, I guess they have an API so you can tell the system what it is that your app is doing when you're looking at it on the screen. And so on the Mac experience, they showed that, and it was just talking a little Siri window next to it, and it was just doing stuff with the files and the things that are in the app. So that's pretty cool that it works at all. That's similar to what was that app? Was it called Sky or something? It was like that third-party app that did like they used a bunch of Apple, used a bunch of public Apple APIs and like an LLM chat interface, so you could kind of ask it to do things like that. Remember that came out like a year or something ago?
Oh my goodness.
I don't remember what it was called, but yeah. This is like Apple's attempt to do that kind of thing. I did not see a whole lot about like Apple Claw type deal. Like the only thing I saw was the notify thing in Safari that was kind of run in the background.
I think that's interesting, right? So like it says what the concept is around screen. I forgot the last part. Screen awareness.
Yeah,
I believe that was the term they were using, and so it would keep track of like if you were trying to track the price of some like eBay purchase or an eBay auction, and you just want to keep a window up, and you just in Safari and be like, okay,
gotta get those high-end running shoes.
Yeah, let me know when the shoe is, if the bid is like getting close to like closing. Let's say the closing bid, right? And then so just let me know, and if or whatever, right?
Yeah, I wonder if you'd be like, let me know 2 minutes before or 5 minutes before the closing bid, or,
right?
Or the auction closes or something.
Right. Let me know like if it's above this number, right?
I don't know if that we can go to that level. I mean, it looked like on the UI you have to tell it how often, like a cron job, like what time to check on it. So maybe that's not great. But you could say like, let me know when tickets when I can buy tickets, and check every day at like 10 a.m. on this website, and then it'll let me know when I can buy tickets or something. Like, I think that was sort of the example they gave. So that's actually cool. I mean, that's like a built-in, really, really, really basic type of personal assistant automated background thing, that could be useful. I mean, it's baby steps. Apple is it's not even necessarily to the level of complexity that they didn't demo the big BS in 2024, but it's like basically like in the ballpark of what they were talking about somewhat back then, but it's not, I think, where they ultimately intend to go. I think this is like what they could do now.
Because I believe the ideal scenario, I mean, they basically want to do OpenClaw, but just within the Apple ecosystem. So
and
you
with
have to think,
privacy in mind,
right? Like
and no foot guns.
Yeah, none of that. But well, it's one of those things where it's like if you use now they have like the Siri app, it kind of makes sense to just keep it there versus like iMessage, because you and I talked about the
you said you said iMessage would be like the interface for it,
but the Siri app actually makes more sense, because at least then like that's the interaction. Like
although text messages are the primary interaction point for a lot of that stuff now. Like that is how people do it.
Right.
But if you're just in the Apple ecosystem, you could just be Siri's everywhere and also an app.
Right.
Like the interaction is really cool with a dynamic island. Then you can just kind of like pull down. You're in the app, I guess, and you can. I mean, I don't know how long. So I use ChatGPT a lot, right? For just random things, like do research, usually to like search the web and find something. But so I have this like long list of like stupid one-off things in my sidebar.
Mm-hmm.
The way the interface is on Siri with the big cards, I don't know, man. I'm pretty quickly gonna have a huge mess. I hope there's like some filtering options or searching options that work.
I hope they have a list option for sure.
Yeah, like that is not browsable at all after like half a dozen of those. But it is nice looking, and we'll see. It's like a very basic chat app, but what I want to know, guys, how did they do the text rendering? Because isn't that like the thing in SwiftUI people always hate, is trying to build one of these types of apps where you have to like bring in the text. I guess they're just using the API they did last year maybe for Foundations model or something, because maybe they're integrating through that, because that did it okay. But I just know that every time I see people like, I'm going to build a chat app in SwiftUI, they like give up on that part.
Right.
Because text is so hard. But I was like, oh, that looks really smooth. I wonder what they're doing.
One thing you appreciate, Aaron, the compiler unable to type check error is now fixed.
Oh,
fixed.
Or at least improved. They didn't promise to fix it. They said
I forgot to add my quotation marks.
Yeah. They said we didn't fix it, guys. We made it better. We made it better.
Maybe it's
that just means you'll know later that your view is too complex.
Yeah, at least they'll point in the direction of where is it too complex, maybe for the compiler.
Yeah, for like the obvious ones, like you're missing a dot notation somewhere.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
All right, we didn't follow up on anything for you, Aaron, in terms of like
Well, he was thinking
initial
about
reactions. Yeah, we gave you some buffer time to think about it. I don't know if you've
and now putting you on the spot again because we're a-holes.
if there's anything of interest that you're like, man, I can't wait to deep dive into this.
Yeah.
I'll have to get a new Mac to get to play with some of these local model things.
I know.
All right, so which means we need to get more money. Which
we need
means
Stu Display money. Now we need MacBook Pro 128 gig money, which is just so
Hopefully
much.
that's enough.
Yeah.
Hopefully that'll last.
Yeah, it'll last like a year. When the Mac Minis get finally updated again, when they become available, Apple will probably restrict the RAM, but if you could get a Mac Mini with like even 64 gigs of RAM, they'll just sell out instantly, because everybody's going to want something for this stuff.
Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of stuff that we could talk about, but we're going to, I think, probably look into the documentation and come back to it next episode. But that was so I think some final impressions. I'll start. I thought it was a very eventful WWDC. It really made me interested in building some stuff, and I think that Apple successfully rode the line that they had to after the debacle of the original Apple Intelligence debut, and I think they showed off real things that are much more in line with what they promised. Maybe they're not like the very most advanced implementation of these. I don't know if I haven't tried Google's implementations, but they look cool. They look like they actually work, and the developer options in here look intriguing, but I will reserve judgment on some of that stuff until I can actually see documentation or watch sessions. But I am excited. I'm excited. I think this is a really good year. And just thank you for doing a Snow Leopard release. Yes. That's like also thank you very much. I really like making the corners the same radius now. Like, thank you. Like that was just bothering a lot of us.
So what about you, Aaron? Any thing you're excited? Any final thoughts? Any?
All right, they had the like resizable iOS apps. We'll need that for the folding phone.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Right. We always forgot. How can we forget
very,
that?
Very,
or
very
that was
good
only
point.
on iPad OS.
Yeah.
I wonder. Very intriguing.
I was confused. I was like, didn't we already have that? No, that was just on iPad, I guess, before, right?
So, that's what could possibly, why would they not be so device specific? What possibly be coming down the pike that would require unlimited scaling?
I don't know. And the new
sizes.
Replacement for simulator has it's just like has a big section in the middle you can resize, and it's like almost like you could have any size screen in that box, any aspect ratio you need. I don't know why they would do that though. I just don't get it, because we only have these defined aspect ratio rectangular devices now. I have no idea what they could possibly be hinting at.
I mean, who knows? Maybe something will unfold and reveal itself in September. So I guess for me, just real quick, I noticed that across the board, they were emphasizing speed improvements, like 80% improvement on app clips. Like what? Not app clips. I'm sorry. AirDrive. I'm sorry. AirDrop.
AirDrop. Yeah. That's awesome. If that works.
That's crazy. I cannot imagine. So like stuff like that. I'm excited for the fact that, yes, thank you, Apple, for the Snow Leopard speed improvements, and for our fellow developers, the speed is a feature. Okay, so
yes, it is.
Just whenever somebody goes, I don't know, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do for this quarter? Make it faster. That's
they
what
just turned all the animations to 0.1 seconds.
Aaron, don't make me come after you.
No, that's great. It might actually be what they did. I don't know.
Well, that's all we have for today. Good. You can learn more about Philly Cocoa at phillycocoa.org. There you'll find links to our Slack group, meetup schedule, and contact info. If you're feeling generous, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or whatever your podcast platform of choice is, and share us with all your developer friends. And one more thing. Originally, I was going to just quickly do a shout out to App John, and our good friends from Bucks County, but this time I think I want to do something a little bit different. This is called CleoFamily.app. It is a app done by a friend of a friend. So Mike Zornick had posted this link to us in our Ship It channel. And according to our colleague, Mike Zornick, who was one of the OG co-founders, co-organizers of Philly Cocoa. His friend Scott Whitrock had built an app. And I guess the pitch is anyone with small kiddos, like under one, will want to try out my baby tracking app, Clio. I'm trying to fill a gap that helps parents understand their kids' patterns and not what they should be doing. It's just an app that me and my spouse wanted to exist. So if you have a child under one or somewhere in that range, give it a try. I believe you can download it for free and try it for yourself. And this is a non-sponsor promotion, but we figure it's local and it's worth your time if you have a little baby. And with that, till next time, good luck on your own developer journey. We will cheer for you always.
They just turned all the animations to 0.1 seconds.